What if the world you know was never supposed to exist? Not the countries, not the oceans, not even you. Millions of years ago, Earth had a single supercontinent, one giant landmass called Pangaea. And then, somehow, it shattered apart, creating the modern world. But here's the strange part. Scientists believe that if Pangaea had never broken up, human civilization might look completely unrecognizable today. And that raises a terrifying question. Would humanity even survive? Picture this. You wake up tomorrow, get in your car, and start driving from California all the way to England. No ocean, no flight, just roads stretching across one endless continent. Sounds impossible, but on a living Pangaea, it could happen. And that's when things get weird. Because Pangaea wouldn't just change geography. It would change weather, evolution, politics, food, animals, maybe even human behavior itself. Right now, oceans separate civilizations. They create barriers, protection, isolation. But if the entire world shared one giant landmass, borders would collide in ways we can barely imagine. North America would slam directly against Africa. Europe would sit just east of Canada. South America would press against Antarctica. Australia and India, frozen near the southern edge of the planet. Countries we associate with heat and beaches would be buried under snow and ice. But that's not even the craziest part. The center of Pangaea would become one of the deadliest places on Earth. See, rain comes from oceans. And on a supercontinent this large, moisture wouldn't travel far enough inland. The outer coast would be green and alive, but deep inside the continent, massive deserts would spread for thousands of miles. Entire regions could become almost impossible to live in. And if civilizations were trapped around the edges of one giant continent, what happens when everyone starts competing for the same land? That's where the real nightmare begins. At first, Pangaea might seem like the ultimate connected world. No oceans to divide us. No isolated continents. Trade routes everywhere. Cultures blending together faster than ever before. But here's the hidden problem nobody talks about. Connection also creates conflict. Today, oceans act like giant shields. They slow invasions, protect borders, limit wars. But on Pangaea, enemies wouldn't need fleets or aircraft carriers. They could just drive straight into another nation. And that changes everything. Imagine the United States sharing a direct land border with Africa. Imagine Europe connected to Canada. Imagine military convoys moving across continents in days instead of months. Wars could spread like wildfires. Transporting soldiers, weapons, and supplies would become terrifyingly easy. A conflict in one corner of the planet could ripple across the entire supercontinent almost instantly. But here's the twist. Some scientists think the opposite might happen. Maybe humanity would become more united than ever before. Because when everyone lives on the same landmass, there's no other side of the world. No distant continents. No separation. Every country becomes part of the same physical system. And that could force cooperation. Or total collapse. What happens next changes everything. Animals would evolve differently too. In fact, some species alive today might never exist at all. When continents split apart millions of years ago, animals became isolated. And isolation creates evolution. Different climates, different predators, different survival challenges. That's why kangaroos evolved in Australia. Why polar bears adapted to the Arctic. Why unique species emerged across separate continents. But on Pangaea, many of those evolutionary paths disappear completely. Fewer barriers mean fewer unique ecosystems. Predators spread farther. Competition becomes brutal. Entire branches of evolution could vanish before they even begin. And humans wouldn't escape that effect either. Would different races and cultures even develop the same way if ancient populations were never separated by oceans? Or would humanity become something entirely different? But that's only the surface of the mystery. Because Pangaea's climate might trigger a chain reaction capable of reshaping civilization itself. Most people imagine Pangaea as one giant paradise. But in reality, it could become dangerously unstable. Here's why. Oceans don't just separate continents. They regulate Earth's temperature. They move heat around the planet like giant cooling systems. Remove those ocean patterns, and the climate starts behaving in ways humans have never experienced. And this is where it gets weird. Some parts of Pangaea could become unbearably hot. Not summer hot. Survival hot. Deep inland deserts might reach temperatures so extreme that entire cities would need to stay underground during the day. Dust storms larger than modern countries could sweep across the continent for weeks at a time. Meanwhile, coastal regions would be overcrowded with billions of people fighting for habitable land. And then there's the superstorms. Scientists believe giant continents can create monstrous weather systems unlike anything we see today. Hurricanes stronger than modern Category 5 storms. Endless drought cycles. Floods capable of wiping out entire civilizations. But the scariest part? Humanity might not even realize the danger until it's too late. Because a connected world creates another hidden threat: disease. Think about how fast viruses spread today using planes and ships. Now imagine a world where every civilization is physically connected by land. No oceans slowing movement. No natural barriers. One outbreak could spread across the entire planet with terrifying speed. And that changes the balance of civilization forever. But here's the unexpected twist. Technology might advance faster than ever. Without oceans blocking trade and communication, ideas could spread instantly across Pangaea. Ancient civilizations might connect thousands of years earlier. Massive road systems could link continents long before airplanes were invented. The Roman Empire might reach North America. Ancient China could directly trade with Europe through land routes. History itself could completely rewrite itself. And that's when the biggest question appears. If humanity became more connected, more advanced, and more unified, would we finally create world peace? Or would one giant continent create one giant war? This is where the story flips completely. Because the greatest danger of Pangaea might not be climate, or evolution, or even war. It might be power. Think about it. In today's world, oceans naturally divide control. No empire can easily dominate the entire planet because geography fights back. Continents create resistance. But on Pangaea, one unstoppable superpower could theoretically spread across the entire Earth. And once that happens, who stops it? What happens next changes everything. Imagine a single empire controlling resources from every corner of the world. One government, one military, one economic system. At first, it sounds efficient, peaceful even. But history tells a darker story. The larger civilizations become, the harder they fall. One political collapse could send shockwaves across the entire supercontinent. Food shortages in one region could trigger riots thousands of miles away. A single economic disaster might affect every human alive simultaneously. There would be no isolated continent left untouched. No safe distance. And that creates a terrifying possibility. If something catastrophic hit Pangaea, humanity could lose everything at once. A megavolcano, a global pandemic, a massive war. On modern Earth, isolated continents help civilizations survive disasters. But on one connected landmass, collapse could spread everywhere. Fast. But here's the strange contradiction. Humans might also feel more connected emotionally. No foreign countries. No distant worlds. The idea of humanity as one species could become stronger than ever before. Maybe people would finally stop fighting over borders. Maybe the shared struggle of surviving Pangaea's harsh climate would force cooperation. Or maybe the constant pressure of overcrowding, resource shortages, and conflict would push civilization into permanent instability. And that's the unsettling part. We don't actually know. Because Pangaea wasn't just another continent. It was an entirely different version of Earth. A world with different weather, different animals, different history, maybe even different humans. But the final revelation is the most chilling of all. Pangaea may not be gone forever. That's right. Earth's continents are still moving right now. Slowly. Constantly. And according to some scientists, hundreds of millions of years from now, the continents could merge together again into another supercontinent. A future Pangaea. And that means the story might repeat itself. But here's the terrifying part. Modern humanity would face challenges no species has ever encountered before. Billions of people trapped on one giant landmass. Extreme climate zones. Resource wars. Ecological collapse. Hyper-connected civilizations vulnerable to single points of failure. Everything would become bigger, including the consequences. And this is where it gets truly unsettling. Maybe the breakup of Pangaea wasn't a disaster. Maybe it saved us. Separated continents created diversity, different ecosystems, different cultures, different ideas. Oceans slowed conflict. Isolation allowed civilizations to survive disasters independently. The modern world may only exist because Earth broke apart. And if it never had, your country wouldn't just look different. Human history itself might never happen. No America as we know it. No Europe separated by sea. No isolated Australia. No global exploration age. Maybe no modern civilization at all. But that's not even the creepiest thought. What if humanity's future is already locked into the same cycle? Supercontinents forming, breaking apart, reforming again and again across millions of years. Civilizations rising on connected worlds, then disappearing before the next cycle begins. And suddenly, Earth starts feeling less permanent, less stable, almost temporary, because one hidden geological process shaped every war, every culture, every species, and every human alive today. And if the continents had moved just a little differently, you might be living in a completely different world right now. Or maybe you wouldn't exist at all.